Good morning. It is currently 9 o'clock, Monday, June 30th, 2025. We'll stay on the 50 for a second. So we see Asian range kind of trending here higher. It's more of like Sunday, expanding aggressively higher. We have a low here and then a low here in the overnight session, which we swept at 8:45. No 8:30 news event, so we're going to reference 9:30 instead. Equities open. There's no news events at all today. I posted I'm going to start doing this, my monthly, weekly, daily session analysis in Discord. I'll post that also on the description of this video, so if you'd like to check that out, you can. We're currently watching as price reacts to this low. I don't really want to pick a value swing here just yet for the movement lower. I want to see price kind of form or continue to displace inside of this discount, even reaching for like this rejection block before that retracement into internal range premium. So right now I'm looking for these highs, but I'm expecting that displacement here. Price could reject here and move lower. I just don't really favor that, especially with the relative equal highs here. The lack of divergence here, which I talked about in my session analysis on the 50-minute chart. We get through drives pattern here, and we do not see a higher high in this %R. So what that kind of makes me think is, if I was smart money and I wanted to induce shorts here, I would want that type 2 divergence here so that retail would be comfortable setting their stops here. The lack of a divergence here makes me think that they're not really trying to allow for retail to enter shorts, which means strong expansion or high sponsorship of a deeper retracement is anticipated. They don't want retail doing this. So that's why I don't think the highs are going to be broken, but I just want to see a little more displacement before I try to pick a high here. I'll still watch it, or I'll keep it noted. But really, I like to see some like sponsored move here off of this gap to break below before getting that full retracement into this deeper BC. So that's what I'm watching now. Just waiting. Inside of that 9 o'clock macro also. We're just seeing is what brings price below these lows aggressive before we rally higher. Let me get rid of that Steam notifications. The lack of quick rejection away here, with price still like inside of this gap. I wanted to see it kind of wick into it and move lower. Makes me think that we're probably gonna reach into this gap. Again, price could retest this and then move away and not sweep these lows. I'm just not super comfortable with that expectation now. I might change my mind based on how price reacts at that busy, but for now, I'm just willing to be patient and sit. Actually, 2-3 drives patterns, if you can see that. One into this relative high, and then another one into this one. I'd rather just copy and paste rather than type it all out again. One hour gap lines up with this 15-minute gap here. Yet to break that low on NQ and ES, forming that divergence here. The short could be taken off of that expectation for something like this. But I'm not gonna put that on there. Just for the fact, I don't like to put projections like that on there if they already have done it, because I don't want to trick myself into thinking that I was right when I wasn't setting that like when price is reaching it. You know what I mean? So. I used to, and I found that it just negatively impacted my trading. I used to leave projections on, even though I wasn't in a trade, just because I needed to be right. So, we all have our obstacles and things that we fight with. That was mine. You're gonna watch how price reacts to this bit, see if it wants to break through it. Be better on this chart. And reach for that higher bit, if it wants to break down. This low will be important later. And you get acquired a keyboard. I'm sure you can hear the clicking and clacking. When I play games, people are always saying I'm playing on a Rubik's Cube. I prefer price to seek the high rather than continue displacing lower. Expect a reaction off this BISI. The sweep below this low into Scott's encroachment. Or sweep into this gap, I guess. Not enough to place a position, but a pleasant projection. I do find that the projections kind of give me ICT made a video about this a while ago. What he'll do if he needs to feel how the market is moving intraday, he'll place like a very tiny position, just watch how price fluctuates around that order. And I find that I can do that with this also without risking money. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. So price does one tick below this gap here into the low of this BISI turn inversion, expands higher above this high. We'll see how price reacts to this high here. Sweeps it. And reaches that BISI. So, a little 15-second scalp. So, the quickness of this price move, retail's going to want to chase this and enter longs here with stop losses at this low. I should really make these like a different color so you'll know that this is. What color should I make it? I'll figure that out and make a template, but right now I'm not going to do that. For now it'll be, I use orange already. Blue and purple. Maybe I'll just do it now. So retail's going to want to enter as it breaks above here and target maybe this resistance quote level. So I'm looking to see how price reacts to this range here. Looking for like some consolidation here for reversal. Before attacking these lows where sell stops lay. Sell stops rest, I guess would be the whatever. A little tired, woke up late, played games too late last night, so really kind of locked in to do my analysis on time. Luckily there wasn't an 8:30 news event, so I didn't really miss much. Currently retesting that 8:30 open. For some reason that's showing up in this chart. I believe Monday's my indicator kind of, oh no, it is showing. It's just very light. It's not showing on the 50-second chart. I think it's too many candles because the way that I pull the midnight opens and that 8:30 opens, I count back bars. So I think on the 50-second chart it's just way too many bars to count back. I don't know if I fixed that or not, but it looks like I didn't because it's not showing. I'll set this stuff up. Still hesitant to enter that short position, especially because 9:30. Right now, I'm not entirely convinced this is smart money reversal, but we are starting to see that contraction that I mentioned. I'll probably set the stop here though. Just with, if I look at this on a 15-minute chart, you know what, I'll just note this high. I think an aggressive stop can be placed, like at this level. It's not really like a high or anything like that, like a swing high. And I like the narrative of the possibility of inducing, well, maybe not. With the narrative of high sponsorship and that retracement in this 3 drives pattern, this big one. The same kind of goes for this low. If retail's going to want to enter short, they're going to want to short here with stop losses here. So it makes sense if price is highly sponsored to instead sweep this high and then move lower and not get to this low. But then again, it can be assumed that price wants to break above it to induce longs. So both can be argued right now. It's really 918 that hypothetical entry is reached. Again, I'm not quite confident in this short yet. Need a little bit more information. Being so close to 9:30. I want to see if price can reach this low or if it rejects before it. Okay, so we do reach the low. So a rejection off of like this low could be seen. But again, I am in favor of continuing higher. I like, you know, I was noting these highs here. We're going to 15-minute chart. The order block rest actually at this level, so I'll just keep it here. As mentioned earlier, the lack of true like displacement through this low. Oops. Before forming that retracement here, makes me hesitant to anticipate these relative highs as protected, even though they have the 3 drives pattern. Then the narrative of sentiment off of the Williams %R. If we take the new week opening gap, what do we see? Oops, wrong one. It's below the 1 hour balance price range. If we were to take a 930 open, place it around that balance price range, see the sell side liquidity rest around equilibrium. Would have rathered it be at the 1 hour balance price range, or at least having this lower quartile be there. Because if we were to use this here and go to 1 hour chart, let's see where that balance price range kind of lies inside of that. It's a low end. I'm gonna wait for after 930. We could form this high here. I'm okay with missing it, just because I'm not extremely confident that these highs are gonna be protected. See this gap also. Is what that entry was kind of around the convergence of this 15-minute gap and the CIVI, South side imbalance, 5 imbalance. I think that's how it's called, or what it's called. Take about once. You have around 5 minutes before that 830 equities open. Price seeks this BCS inversion. If we start getting some displacement here, then I'll anticipate this is a high. Why I'm looking to break above its newer term high here. See some laggardness in ES and NQ regarding that. Which is those relative highs. I think that divergence can hold because of the high resistance liquidity run that kind of would. Well, that's not entirely true. If price was like this, getting above this high would be difficult because it has to get above this one, this one, this one, and this one. Since it's staggered this way. It's not the same because it's just these two highs. Trying to think of how that adds confluence to a rejection here instead of a deep premium, instead of breaking above these highs. Based off of that logic, it makes sense for this entry here. And again, not going to place that there because I said I'd be patient, and told myself that I wouldn't enter a short position here because of the lack of confidence in the protection of these relative highs. We're also seeing that lack of sponsorship here. Consolidating, reaching back into this gap, and now we're seeing some displacement. Let's see if it can hold that. We're currently inside of the what I would call the 930 macro. I don't think ICT would call that, but this range between this 2-minute range on each side, 3-minute range. Between like 98 and 32, where I'm watching that equities open, the reactions to the side of this. Q fell just short of breaking that high here at the rejection block. I'll be watching to see if it wants to break above that high, if 930 aggressively breaks above this one. Sweeping this low here. Getting that aggressive sponsorship as expected. Back below the low. So retail entering longs here are now taken out of the marketplace. I like this short here, if I can make it in time. It's looking like I missed it. It's okay. I probably should have had my hand hovering over it, but it's fine. Reach that 1 hour bounce versus low, below these lows. If I can get something in here at the low, I'd be comfortable with that. Getting the reaction here is at the concentration of that 1 hour BISI. So that's complete rejection of this gap here. There's that new day opening gap. Further retesting the lower quartile of that constant encroachment. Price could reject right off of this low and continue lower instead of reaching for this internal range premium. If it does that, I'll stop trying to enter and just watch the reaction as price moves lower. We did get that sympathy decline in YM, yes, and we did not break above this high either. So no divergence there. Dollar is not seeing that same sponsorship of upper traction above this overnight session high. We're seeing some consolidation here. Price sweeps the low. We can see if it wants to attack this high here or wants to continue sponsoring this bearish retraction. relative equal lows right here. Would love to see if price can get above this high. At the rejection of the BC low. There's the high. Short entry could be taken here, but I'd like to wait for a little bit more. I'd like for price to stay below this high here. Well, that's where my stop loss is. Preferably below this low. You see longs induced at the break above this high, and I like the same for this high here. That little 1 minute gaps here. Yeah, I'll put it here. At the AF fit into this gap, which is there. So price induces longs here and here, with retail expecting this to be, what would it be, support? I always mix them up. So now these are relative equal lows. See, we get that one tick here, right into that constant encroachment. Body's respecting the low, another movement lower. Watching how price reacts to getting back into this volume bounce and like below this low. Watch to see if price can get back above this high. I'm preferring it to reject here. There's just not enough information for me to anticipate this rejection right now. Seeing that we're respecting the low of this BSC as inversion. Instead of rejecting here, we broke above, sweeping this high. So I would like it to continue lower. Since now we're below it again. Just watching. The amount of time price is spending above this range is a little bit problematic for this high to be the high. Not for the position at least. But there's no sponsorship in either direction, so we're just being patient, watching as price trades around this 1 hour bounce price range, or excuse me, BSC low. Waiting for it to break down lower below this low. There's the low. So we're gonna watch this price trades into this one. If we see some crazy stuff with this constant correction, this new day opening gap, I'll just exit there. I think I'd rather, to be honest with you. Just for the fact that on the 15-minute chart, there's a gap here, and the next one is way down here. So I'd rather just take the easy exit at the convergence of this 15-minute BSC and that consecration of that new day opening gap. Press from relative lows here. We're back in the old low. Same scenario. Relative lows inducing longs here as price gets above this high. Back into that 1 hour bounce price range low and into this consolidation here. Order block that rest to equilibrium is right here. I'm seeing how price rejects away from it, body's respecting it, back into this gap. We can see if this gap wants to support price for continuation above this high, or if we break through it, ignoring it, and start reaching for these relative lows. in respect to. Price breaks lower. It's the low of this gap here. Here for price to see a reaction off of this old low here. And continue lower. To sweep these relative lows. I'll add an eye here, but by the time I add it, it'll probably sweep it. We got it out in time. Looking for sponsorship. For this gap to be acted as inversion. Price reaches back into the old low again. Want to see that sponsorship with the bodies respecting this constant encroachment here. I'd rather price not break this low and then continue contracting. If it's going to break this low, I'd rather break all three. How price is reacting inside this range is making me would add confluence to raising my stop loss, or excuse me, my take profit here instead of this balanced price range. So we see we swept the low aggressively, right back in the new company gap, and look where we stopped right before. So beautiful trade. We can still reach for this. The reason that I raised it here was for something like this, and then we expand higher. That possible scenario, but beautiful short entry. Even though we missed the move here, we didn't chase price, we didn't react emotionally. We waited for this low to be created, watched for this high and this high, entered perfectly, right at that busy low, waited as price contracted, forecast every 15-second candle, and then price swept the relative lows. So currently up 50.29 or 50. We're up $298 on this $50,000 account, and I think it's an equity high for this challenge so far. So very nice. We made back what we lost last week, and I think I'm gonna just take this win and walk away. That's the best thing to do here. So we're under that 1 hour chart or 1 hour mark also. So I'll forecast the rest of the session later, but yeah, lots said, lots learned. So I'll see you tomorrow.